Here we're going to look at different examples of finding the perimeter or and area of different figures. Okay? So the first one here is a rectangle, and what you're going to notice about a lot of these is that you're given the information you need, but you're not given the formula. So the biggest thing when trying to solve perimeter or area is remembering and knowing what the formula is for the different shapes that you have. So a rectangle here deals with length and width. So when we're talking about a perimeter, we're talking about taking a walk around your shape and you add up your sides as you go. So for example, we would walk, if we started in one corner, we're going to walk the 31 length, we're going to walk our length of 12, we're going to walk again another length of 31 and another length of 12. So your perimeter is going to be twice the length plus twice the width, or add them up as you go. So in this case, this would be twice times my 31 plus twice times the 12, which is going to give you a total of 86. Now notice I have this M here attached to my 31, so you need to make sure you include your measures. So this is 86 meters would be the actual perimeter. Now to find your area, says we're going to take our length and we're going to multiply that by the width. So in this case my length was 31. We're going to multiply that by 12. So we end up getting an area of 372, and again in this case it would be meters squared, okay, because we have 2 meters we're multiplying together, so we would have meters squared. Now a triangle, your perimeter is going to be the same. We are still going to walk around the shape, so we would still, if we started in the bottom corner, you would walk your 7, we would turn and walk up our 6 inches and then turn and come down. And so here my perimeter is going to be 7 plus 6 plus 6, as we're going to walk all our sides. So in this case we would end up having 19. Since I have an inch, or IN is my designation here, this would be 19 inches. Now your area formula is slightly different. It is 1/2 base times height. So the base is going to be the part of the shape that it's resting on. So essentially you can think of it as this area down here that their shape is sitting on. This would be your base, whereas the height is going to be how tall it is. So this area right here is going to be your height. So with that being said, here we would have your area being 1/2 times 7 times 5. Which is going to equal here 17.5, and it's going to be inches squared. Now this third one here is a circle, and a circle has a perimeter that's slightly different. A circle is called circumference, and the circumference is going to be 2 pi times your radius. Now in most of these cases when we're dealing with pi, we would deal with pi by saying that pi is the decimal 3.14. So instead of clicking the pi button on your calculator, what you want to do is you always want to use 3.14 unless told otherwise. So your circumference here is going to be 2 times 3.14 times your radius of 5.2. So here this is going to end up being 32.7. My measure here is in feet, so this is going to be feet. Now notice I've been rounded to the 10th in this one, and the reason for that is because if you take a look at your radius only goes out to the 10th place, therefore your answer should match. Now again, your circle area is going to be slightly different. To find the area of a circle, we are looking at pi times your radius squared. So your area here is going to be 3.14 times the 5.2 squared. So in this case, you're going to end up getting 84.9 feet squared. Now in this last one, we've got a parallelogram, and in this case the only pieces of information we've been given are the base and the height. Therefore, for a problem like this, what we are actually looking for here is we are just looking for your area. The area of a parallelogram is base times height, and so in this case it would be 7.2 times 3.4. So this is going to give you 24.5. My measure in this case is centimeters, so this would be centimeters squared. In this next one, we are looking at having two bases and a height, and this is a trapezoid. So here, this area is going to be 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. So when we're talking about bases, we're talking about top and bottom. So the top part here is my base 1. The bottom is going to be base 2 with the piece in the middle being your height. So in this case, my area is going to be 1/2 times 7 times 6.5 plus my 3.2. So here we're going to end up with 33.95. My rounding rules says I'm going to round up because this is a 5. My 9 rounds up, so this ends up being 34.0 meters squared. Okay. So you got to be very careful. Now with this one, you do have to write the 0.0 because we do have to the 10th for a couple of our bases, and so that's what we would want our answer to be. Alright, now for some fun. What if we mix shapes together? Well, there are quite a few different ways that you can approach trying to solve this problem. Essentially, when you look at it, you have 3 shapes put together. You've got 2 rectangles and we have half of a circle. So the first thing that I would do is I would split them up so that I can see them. Now, we can either draw a line here and make a little rectangle and a big one, or we could draw the line here, which makes 2 big rectangles. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way this time, just to kind of give a little something. And we're going to call this rectangle A, this one's rectangle B, and my circle is C. Okay. So essentially, to find the perimeter, so here my perimeter is going to be my rectangle A plus my rectangle B plus my half circle C. But we're only looking at the outer edges. So when we're looking at these 3 pieces, we are just looking for the outer edges. In other words, this imaginary line that we just drew here does not actually exist. So when we walk around the shape, that's exactly what we're doing. So if you look, this is 10, this is 8, this is 3. We need to know this piece here. We've got a 3 here, a circumference, a 2, and a 4. Okay? So we have to be able to work with our shape. Now, if we had drawn, because this piece is 4 right here, if we had drawn a dashed line going this way, what you would notice is that that would make this piece here a 4. Since the whole length is an 8, that makes this a 4, which makes this right here 4. Okay, so you have to manipulate your shapes in order to see the parts. So here for my perimeter, we're going to say start in this corner here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a walk going in this direction and make sure we add up everything as we go. So first we have 10. So my perimeter is going to start with 10. Then we're going to turn down and add this length, which was 8. Then we have to come across the bottom, so this is 3. We need to come up the side, which is 4. We've got this little piece right here, which is 3. Now we have our circumference, so we don't know that yet, so I'm going to put C. Then we have this piece here, which is 2, and the last piece, which is 4. Okay. So the piece that's missing is our circumference. So if we look for C, we know the circumference of a circle is going to be 2 pi r. We also know that I only have half of that, so I have to divide the whole thing by 2. So my C piece here, this outer edge, is going to just simply be pi times r. Pi is going to be 3.14. My diameter across the circle is 2, which means the radius is half that, so this is times 1. So this little circumference piece right here is going to be 3.14. So here we have to add everything up. So we're going to have that our perimeter is, we have 10 plus 8 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4. So this is going to end up being 34 plus my 3.14. So that makes my perimeter So this is 37.14. Now notice none of my values in here were given a measure, so there's no measure that has to be included. Alright, that's only part of it. Now we can find the areas. So first and foremost, we have it broken down into sections. So the first thing that I have is I have rectangle A. So if I look at rectangle A is essentially this right here. So we're looking at this rectangle here, and we're caring about the sides. So we know this side to be 4, and then this bottom piece is going to be 2 plus 2 plus 3. So 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7. So this piece right here is 7. So when we're looking at the area, your area is going to be length times width, which is 4 times 7, which in this case is going to give me 28. Now the next one we have is we have rectangle B. Rectangle B is this rectangle right here, the vertical one. So we're looking here at this piece here. So we know this bottom length here to be 3, and we know this side right here to be 8. So again, when we're looking at your area, we are looking at 8 times 3, which is 24. And the last one we have is we have your semicircle. So the semicircle is this piece here. Now what we know about your semicircle is we know that your diameter piece is 2. And what this means is that your radius equals 1, because your radius is half the diameter. So your area here is going to be 3.14 times your radius squared, which in this case is going to be 3.14. But then remember, semicircle means we only want half, so we have to divide this by 2, which is going to give us 1.57 as a result. Okay. So what I have to do here is I have to find my total area. So your total area is going to be where we add up all the areas. So we have rectangle A plus your rectangle B plus your half circle. So rectangle A was 28 plus rectangle B being 24 plus your semicircle of 1.57. So this gives you a total area of 53.57. Okay, let's look at another one. So here we can do the same thing. We have two shapes that are split into one. And so because of that, what that means is that we can split this into our shapes. Now we could split it vertically, but then we would have 3 to deal with. Or you split it right here, which means we only have 2. We could call this rectangle A and we can call this rectangle B. So with that, we have to do the same thing. We can find the perimeter, which is add up all the sides. Now one thing we know is that if this side is 2, then this other side has to be 2. So this is also 2 kilometers. And then we also know to end up with this one has to match the length of this bottom side. So this is going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which equals 6 kilometers. Once you know all the sides, you can find your perimeter. So the perimeter again means that we have to add up all the sides. So in this case, you would start somewhere and take a walk around your shape. So if we start in this corner up here and take a walk down, first we would come to 2, so we would have to add your 2. Turn, we've got plus 1. This side is identical to this side over here, so we would add our 3. Walk across the bottom is plus 2. Again, up the side is plus 3. Up this bottom is plus 3, the little side here plus 2, and finally across the top plus 6. So we need to add up all of those together. So this is going to give you 22 kilometers as your perimeter. Now, just like before, we have to then find the area of each shape individually before we combine them together. So first and foremost, we can look for the area of your first rectangle. So we would have the area, let's call this for rectangle A. So we're going to have length times width. So here this is going to be 6 times 2, which is going to give you 12. Because my measure here that we have, notice attached right here is kilometers, this would be kilometers squared. I then have to find the area, let's call it of B. So B is this rectangle right here, so again we're going to have length times width. So this one is going to be 3 times 2, which gives you 6 kilometers squared. In order to find the area of the total shape, we have to add them together. So your total area is going to come from A plus B. So in this case, we would have 12 plus 6, which is going to give you 18 kilometers squared. Alright, this one is a word problem, and so here you have a triangular box made from cardboard. The figure represents the top of the box, and it wants to know how many centimeters of rope are required to travel the perimeter of the box and how many square centimeters of material are required to cover the box. So in other words, we have to find the perimeter and the area. So perimeter, very simply again, take a walk around. So your perimeter is going to be, add up all your sides, 8 plus 15 plus 17. So your perimeter is going to be 40 and your measure is centimeters. Your area is going to be 1/2 base times height. You're going to use your base as B and your height as the 15. Okay? So in this case, your area is going to be 1/2 times 8 times 15, which is going to equal 60 centimeters squared. So that should get you started working with area and perimeter. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.